ever felt like creating wealth is some kind of secret club? You know, like everyone else got an invitation but you? Well, guess what? Today, we're kicking the door right off its hinges. We are going to demystify this whole game, pulling back the curtain by diving into the minds of the absolute masters.
Yeah, let's just be real for a second. The world of finance feels like it's designed to be confusing, right? This quote from Tony Robbins just hits the nail on the head. All that jargon, it's meant to make you feel overwhelmed, to make you feel like you can't play the game. But the truth, the real core principles are way, way simpler than you've been led to believe.
So we've done the heavy lifting for you. We dug through some of the most legendary books ever written on wealth, you know, the big ones, and we've boiled it all down to 5 essential master keys. Think of these as the fundamental truths, the absolute non-negotiables that connect all the wisdom together. Ready to get started? Let's go. Okay, our very first master key, well, it has absolutely nothing to do with stocks or real estate or some hot new business idea. Nope, it has everything to do with what's going on inside your head. Because the entire game of wealth, it's won or lost right between your ears. This idea comes straight from T. Harv Eker, and it is a game changer. He calls it your financial blueprint. It's like your pre-programmed mindset about money. And here's the kicker. If that blueprint is set for struggle, then you will struggle. It doesn't matter what fancy strategies you try. Eker uses this brilliant analogy. Think of it like a thermostat. Let's say your financial thermostat is set for, I don't know, $50,000 a year. If you suddenly get a massive windfall, like 100 grand, it's almost guaranteed you'll unconsciously find a way to get rid of that extra money, just to get back to what feels comfortable. So the very first step is to figure out what your thermostat is even set to.
And here's that blueprint in action. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad just lays it out perfectly. You've got 2 different mindsets. Poor Dad thought loving money was bad. He worked for a paycheck his whole life. Rich Dad, he believed the lack of money was the real problem, and he focused on making money work for him. They lived in the same world, but they had completely different thermostats.
Okay, so once you start working on that internal mindset, you've got to learn the actual rules of the game. It's time for our second key, which is all about understanding the timeless, fundamental laws of money.
These 5 laws of gold from The Richest Man in Babylon are, well, they're as good as gold. Let's break them down. 1, save at least 10% of everything you make. This is your foundation. 2, put that money to work. Invest it so it can start making babies. 3, get advice from people who actually know what they're talking about. 4, don't invest in things you don't understand. Stick to your circle of competence. And 5, steer clear of those get-rich-quick schemes. Real wealth is built, not won in a lottery. Simple, right? But so, so powerful.
And when it comes to getting advice, Tony Robbins gives us this perfect analogy. You got to know who you're talking to. Is it a butcher or a dietitian? See, a broker is like a butcher. Their job is to sell your meat. You ask what's for dinner, the answer is always meat. But a fiduciary? They're like a dietitian. They are legally and ethically bound to tell you what's best for your financial health, even if it's the fish. Knowing this one difference can literally save you a fortune. All right, you've reset your inner thermostat, you're following the ancient rules, and you've found your dietitian. So, what now? Now it's time to build the machine, the engine that actually creates wealth. This third master key is the single most important concept for getting that engine up and running. In fact, it is the engine. So I'm going to ask you a question, and honestly, how fast you can answer this pretty much determines your financial future. What is the one thing you absolutely have to know to build wealth? This is it. The fundamental truth from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. It's that simple. The problem is, the middle class buys liabilities they think are assets, like their house or their car. The rich, they spend their lives buying assets. That's the entire game, right there. So, we've got the mindset, the rules, and the engine. Let's get practical with master key number 4. What is the very first, non-negotiable, you have to do this step you can take, starting right now, to put this all into motion?
This might be the most powerful sentence ever written about personal finance. Let that sink in. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. It doesn't say what's left over, it says a part of all you earn. That means you pay the most important person first, and that person is your future self.
So what part is it? The ancient wisdom, the starting point, is 10%. That's the magic number. Before you pay the landlord, before you buy a single grocery, before anyone else gets a dime, you take 10% of every dollar that comes into your life and you set it aside to build your asset column. This one habit, this is the foundation on which all fortunes are built, period.
And now we've reached our fifth and final master key. This is the catalyst. It's the secret ingredient that takes all of the other keys and just multiplies their power by 1,000. This is what separates simple wealth from legendary, world-changing fortunes. So let me tell you a quick story from Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich. There's this old country doctor who sells his secret recipe for a sweet syrup and the kettle he mixed it in to a young clerk at a drugstore. The price? $500.
Now, you gotta understand, $500 back then was a fortune. It was the clerk's entire life savings. He bet everything he had on this little scrap of paper with a formula on it and a worn-out old kettle. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The clerk took that formula, but he added a secret ingredient of his own, something the doctor who invented it had never even thought of. And this one ingredient, well, it changed everything.
So what was it? What was this magical ingredient? What could he possibly have added to a simple syrup recipe that would turn it into a global empire?
The secret ingredient was an idea. It wasn't something you could touch. It was an idea for a global brand, for mass distribution, for a unique bottle, an idea that this drink could be everywhere in the world. The formula and the kettle were just things. The billion-dollar ingredient was a thought, a burning desire backed by a solid plan. That right there is the ultimate master key.
Okay, so let's recap. We've gone through the 5 master keys: your blueprint, the rules, the engine, your first step, and the power of an idea. But here's the thing. Knowing all this stuff is totally useless if you don't do anything with it. So the final step is to shift from learning to doing. I absolutely love this story from William J. O'Neill's book. A professor has his students write these long, detailed papers on fish based on library books, and he rejects all of them. He tells them, if you really want to learn about fish, you need to go sit in front of a fishbowl and just watch the fish. True mastery, true understanding doesn't come from just reading about something. It comes from direct, focused observation. And that brings me to my last question for you. You have the principles now. The next step isn't to go read another book. It's to pick your fishbowl. What's it going to be? Will you start studying the real estate market in your own neighborhood? Will you dig into the financial reports of a company you really admire? Will you just find a mentor and watch how they operate? The secrets aren't just in the pages anymore. They're out in the real world.